Hello everyone, my name is Kara Brown. I am an urban fantasy author and the operations director for Otherworld Inc. I was supposed to post a drunk book review video today, but the file has been corrupted, and despite all my efforts to try and fix it this morning, I lost the file. I'm sorry, guys. So you don't get to hear about me having a good time about Leviathan Wakes because it was really good. I was pretty proud of that book review, but I still gotta give you guys content, and I am gonna give you guys content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go over my impressions of a software called Campfire, which has to do with world building, and I'm just gonna show you guys all the features, some stuff that you can do with it, and then you guys can make a choice if you would like to have this as part of your arsenal when it comes to creating your books. So let's go ahead and start with that. So I learned about Campfire after I finished NaNoWriMo this year because it was one of the rewards that you could get a discount off of using this. And I didn't know what it was until then. And I had seen all the other products and I was like, well, I don't know what Campfire is. I'll go ahead and check that out. And I got it. I got the trial. 16 hours later, I resurfaced and realized it was dark outside because I got really engrossed in working with this program. Now, if you're wondering what this program is, it is a really extensive world building, character tracking program. Like, it's very detailed. If you are OCD and you like to have everything in one place, this is definitely the software for you. They are working on an online feature right now where you can collaborate with other people, but at this point in time when I'm recording the video, there is only the one that you can put on your PC and you don't have the ability to share it with anybody, but you still have it and you still have it all in one place, and it does interconnect with each other. So let's go ahead and we'll start by going over all the different features that are presented here. And we are going to be here for a while, so pause, get a drink, maybe get some notepads. I don't know what you guys want to do for this kind of video, but we're going to be here for a hot minute. Alright, so first thing you're going to do once you install it, and there is a free 10-day trial, so that way you can play with it and see if it's something that you do want to do, which I really appreciate. And this is actually the trial version I'm using, which is the full expanded version of it. So a lot of the features that I'm showing you are going to basically include everything if you buy the entire package. So we will go ahead and start with clicking on New Story, and you're going to see some basic things right here. What am I going to call this story? You know what? Let's just go with Dressed Up. This is, we'll say romance. Haha, not for kids, okay? Faye Black. One sentence summary, people finding love with the help of rope. Don't judge me, okay? Okay, so I don't always like write very well on the fly, so what I did was I just took a pause and refilled out all this stuff. So I have this anthology with Dress Up being the first one that's coming out, hopefully in January. Hopefully. But that's part of an anthology that I'm writing, and so I decided to make this project that I'm going to share with you about that anthology. So here I have the name of the anthology. I have the one sentence synopsis about it. I'm not doing the teaser because that doesn't really do anything for me, but I would probably put the log line in there if I was you. And then I have the synopsis of what it is, but it's not going to be the book synopsis, so that's something I may have to come back and do later. And then the note I just have for myself, which is I only have one written so far. So with that done, I'm just going to go ahead and hit create, and it's going to want to save my stuff, and I'm going to put it on my drive here because bound. No, I can't do that. And I'm going to put it on there because I'm going to actually put that on the thing that I have the full thing out on. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like right now. And it's kind of interesting because this background is not exactly what I would make it. So where's view? Hold on. Let's see. Theme. I'm going to go ahead and change the theme because that theme is just not right. Okay, so, and that's something that you can do. You can come in here to theme, and you can change this however you want it to be. So if you are writing fantasy, it's going to look like this. If you are writing horror, it's going to look like this, and so on and so forth. Actually, I think I may just go and just keep it simple and just go with the dark. Yes. Oh, that makes me so happy. Okay, so anyway, here is what's going to look like once you have the file and you open it. And then you can, of course, at any time change any of the stuff when you need to. So let's start with the first thing, which is going to be characters. So we're going to go here. We're going to click on view characters, and we're going to see that there are literally none. So I'm going to take a moment to pause and populate this with a whole bunch of characters. So hold please. Okay, so when you start populating this is pretty easy. Like, it's super easy to use. So you can sit here and you can make a new character. I think we'll call this character Kathy. And there's no Kathy in my story, I'm just doing this. And I want you guys to see that all I had to do was hit the add button, and then I just went straight here and I could change this. So anytime I want to, again, change this to whatever it needs to be, it's just going to immediately show up on the menu there, which is nice. And then something else that you can do is you can put groups in here. So let's say that, you know, there's club, you know, the club owner or club members. So you can have basically the club people all fit in there. So, and this is really useful if you have like a different race of people that you need to track. So that's really helpful. Or a different, like if you have a gang in your story and you need to track all the gang members and whatnot, it makes it really easy to kind of put that all in one place. Because after a while, there is a little cutoff where you do have to scroll down, and I'm just not a fan of the scrolling. But again, that's me. Going back to these characters, we can go ahead and we can fill out some of the stuff. Now, this is really customizable. Like, you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. You know, you can do full name, you can do gender, you can just do so many things. And I'm just going to take another moment to pause so you don't watch me type this all in, because that's just weird. Okay, so I'm still filling some stuff in, but I thought this was a good opportunity to show you guys some stuff that I'm doing right now. So, as you can see, I start filling some stuff out, and it looks different than when you saw it on the screen last time, because one of the things that you can do is you can move stuff around, and you can make things pretty much whatever length that you need them to be for whatever you're writing. You can also, like I said earlier, this is really customizable. So where it has personality traits for this character, I put silent, and then they're stone-faced, and then physical attributes. And this can be whatever you want it to be. You can talk about tattoos or scars, or you can talk about, you know, magical attributes as well. Like the sky is limitless here. Right here where it says statistics, this is going to be your number stuff. So I have age. We can put weight. Kind of rude, but you know, whatever. Weight. And if you really want to, you can add in things like income, whatever you want to do that involves having to just state a number. Oh, height. Height is a good one. I feel like I'm in school again. What are things that we can use numbers to represent? Height, miss. Height. Now, I'm going back to the fact that it's customizable, because you can do whatever you want in here. So right here where it says add panel, you can either add links to other panels. So I could put in a thing about relationships, and I can link in those people with those relationships. I can also do a list of some sort. I can do statistic, but I think what you all are probably asking about right now is how do I put an image in here? And you put an image by doing add image panel, and then you are going to click on this. And it's going to say set image, so then you have to find the image. I think I have one here. And I went and found the actual image, because screw that. So I know you guys are probably going to look at it and be like, that's a really small image, I need it bigger. There's a little thing right here where you can basically just make it as large or small as you want it to be. And yeah, that's pretty much how you're going to do that. And I really like that you can move everything anywhere, and you can add whatever you want to add in here. Like, you can add in like a list panel where you can just put in like lists of things for some reason. You can put in like links to outside resources, so you can come in here, you can click on them. It's just really useful that way. So now that we've talked about characters, let's go ahead and we can move into the relationships. So as you can see, there's literally nothing here, right? There's no relationship. So I'm going to add a relationship. And we are going to do that. And there's like a color key here where you can add in as much as you want. I started to play with this, but unfortunately, like, the web of relationships in my main series is like really complicated. So I guess I'm gonna try and make it work here. So let's go ahead and add a color. So first off, I'm not digging that gray color for love, so we're gonna go ahead and make that pink, because pink is a nice color for that. And then for this one, you know what? I like red. And I'm gonna hit OK. But stop moving. Okay, so that's the one tiny thing. New relationship. We'll just add lust, because that's just a thing. And then I feel like we need to have another one called drama, because you can't have stories like this and not have some kind of drama relationship between one person and another. So, let's see. Oh, oops. Let's see. So we're gonna call this found. So this is going to be how the people in the club know each other, which I think would actually be really useful for me to know. So all the characters that are going to populate right here are going to be the characters that you made in the character thing. So if you end up missing characters, you may have to go and find them. And then anybody that you put into a folder is actually going to show up here. It's grayed out because there's just nobody there yet. So I'm going to go ahead and add, and she's going to be right here. And then the other person I'm going to add is going to be Ben. So we're going to add him, and he's going to be right there. And then we're going to connect these two together. But that is totally not lust. I need a different one. Hold, please. Work. Work, co-workers. And we should just probably keep that a nice, maybe green color. Green seems safe, right? Right? So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to make sure that this is selected because that's the color that's going to show up. And then we are going to connect those two like that. So, and then anytime I decide I need to move Ben anywhere, that relationship thing is still going to be there. Let's find somebody else. Let's do Mark. Because Mark and our friend here do not actually get along. In fact, she thinks that he's scum. So there you go. Gotta have drama. But, of course, these two... Stop doing that. Just try to select it. Have something else going on here. So, alrighty, we have problems. Oh my. So, and this is just things that you can do. You can link up the relationships with people at the club or people in a family or pretty much anything else that you want to do. Now, you can also add family trees. That's really intense. I don't know if I'm ready for that. And that actually doesn't really apply to my my universe, so I may skip out on that. But it's going to look a lot like what you saw before, but instead it's going to have parent, child, siblings, and husband, wife kind of thing. So that's what that's going to look like. But it's not going to be too different than what you're seeing us working on here. And before I forget, you can do the same thing with the friendship web. It looks pretty much like friends, enemies, lovers, likes, loves, all that fun stuff. And then again, if you don't like the way it's called, you can call it whatever you want. So maybe it's like high school relationships, relations. That you can have in there. So, and you can still keep this template, but you can call it whatever you want. So again, I'm always a big fan of customization like this. Now, let's go ahead and look at timeline, because timeline might be the one I spend the most time on. So we'll add in a new timeline. And so we can do, you know, it's gonna be kind of hard. I think it should just be the anthology. Anthology. So this would be the set of short stories that take place in the anthology, right? So we're gonna go ahead and add an element. So we can add an event, like so. And let's make this event like the first story that I do, so dressed up. Now, it doesn't give you a lot to work with so far, but you can actually double click it and then you can just dive in here and do whatever it is that you need to do. And you know what, before I go any further, I'm actually going to change the theme because this is really hard for people to read. So I want you guys to be able to read what I'm looking at. So sorry for the glaring whiteness. Now, you can do your story synopsis right here. You can say if this event is happening on screen, obviously it's a short story because it is, so it's going to be a major event. And if you want to make it a certain color, you can do that too. I have love in here, so we'll make it pink just for me. Look at that, it's pink, pink, pink. And location is really going to be the shop. That's what I'm going to call it. Temporal location. And if you have an image for it, you can put it right here, and then you can put the full description of whatever it is that's happening in your short story or in your chapter. The one thing I like about this is that you can do this with chapters as well. And it gets even better, guys, because you can add in the characters just by clicking on them, like so. You don't even have to really worry too much about who's going to be in there. And then once you click on the characters who are going to be in that chapter or that scene that you are outlining, you just hit that and they all show up. And you can basically say right here what it is that they are doing in the chapter in one sentence. At least that's what I would do. Right here it says locations. I have not made a location. Or rather, you can add in more characters or cultures or anything. I haven't touched about any of this yet, so I don't want to dive into that. But you can add in a location. But as you can see, there's nothing here. And I'll come back and I'll show you in a minute about how you can add on to that. But you can do that, and you can make this about as large or small as you want. So for me, this is just a short story, but it's a major thing, so I'm going to put it right here. I can add in another one. Let's see, another event, and we can call it, I think, what was I going to call it? I think I was calling it close up. Yeah. And that is also a main one. So that's going to involve, let's see, that's going to involve Andrew and Jasmine. Ben's there. We kind of see her. Yeah, so we see all those folks. So they're going to be there. And then again, you can add in who's going to do what. However, in this short story, it's not actually going to be, hold on. Okay. Hold on. Okay, so one thing I do want to kind of draw your attention to is the order that these names populated. So the order that you click on them is going to be how they show up. Now, for me, in my OCD, the main characters in this story are actually going to be Jasmine and Mark. And then we kind of see Aurora and Ben in there, but they are not the main characters. So just keep in mind that if you're the kind of person that wants your main character to be first, you need to make sure that you click on them first. So I had to throw that in there because I totally forgot about that. And again, you can have the location, you can say who it's on an on-screen. And the reason that I want to point out the on-screen is because if you guys remember anything from any of my videos where I talk about what the villain is doing, this is a really nice way to set up a timeline to kind of track what your heroes and your villain are doing. So it's just kind of something that's just, it's just nice to have, And I'm going to make that purple because why not? So, and I'm not going to add a panel because it's fine how it is. So, and then I got that right there. Now, one thing I do want to point out is the fact that this program does have one of the elements, or at least this part of the program has, the events that we're using and then the dividers. So you can use these dividers however you want. In my Ghostwalker series, I basically have a divider for the main novels, the novellas, and the short stories. But you can also set it up to kind of help you separate your scenes or your chapters by act. And these are, like, you can move this anywhere you want. Like, it's never constrictive, and you can rename it. If you don't like the way it's set up this way, you can just go over here and click it, and then it will just switch just like that. So if you want everything to be kind of diagonal like that, or you want horizontal, it's whatever you want it to be. Again, super customizable program. I don't think I could say enough nice things about how just flexible and accommodating this stuff is. Oh, I really like it. I like it a lot. And so you can set up a timeline for like one book or one chapter if that's something that you want to do, or you can use this for an entire universe. If you have a whole universe of characters and things, I would use it for that. In my Ghostwalker Chronicles, because I don't have it on this computer, I actually have every book as its own timeline, so that way I can just track everything that's happening. And the nice thing about that is that when it comes to doing the character arcs in this program, which we're going to talk about next, it just makes it so much easier to track who's doing what and how they're changing and everything else. So let's just go ahead and go straight to character arcs. So as you can see, the only characters that are here are the ones that I actually put in the characters, right? So those are going to be the ones that I'm going to work with. Now when you click on a name, you're going to notice that Aurora has dressed up and close up in here. And the reason that those are showing up is because when I was doing the timeline, I said Aurora was in both of those short stories, so she is going to show up. So if I click on this, it's already got a template that's set up where I can basically say like what emotional changes are there, what physical changes. If you are somebody who needs to have like, if this was urban fantasy, you could say magical changes. If this was, I mean, you can just add in whatever changes that you want to track. Depends on your genre, depends on what you're trying to do. Maybe you could do historical changes, all that fun stuff. You can also, talk about if there's any traits that they kind of picked up. Again, this goes back to the universe, what you're trying to do, but you can flesh this out pretty much as you want to. And then it will just track all the changes from dress up to like close up. And again, you do have to redo that template that you have, but it's really good. I really like it. And it's just the fact that I can come in here and click on everybody and see how they change from one thing to another. It makes me and my OCD super happy. So I ran in there and I just put in some random stuff because one of the other things that you can do is that you can basically export this into a graph, or you can put it as a PDF. And so this is Aurora, right? Probably spelled her name wrong, but don't care. And then if you needed to print it out so that way you can have the paper copy, hey, guess what? It's on your computer now. So that's something that you can do with that, which I think is super cool. And you can do that with pretty much any of your characters, like at all. And I love it so much. So the next thing to do is to talk about the world, and you can put in just so many freaking maps in this. Like, of all the features in this program so far, this is the one that I'm still really sketchy on. But you can upload a map and then you can add locations onto it and all that. So let me find a map real quick so that way I can showcase what I'm talking about. Alright, so some Googling later, I went and I found the image that I want to use. So go here, go to downloads. I'm going to use this. Not the actual thing, just for the purpose of having this. So this could be my map, right? This could be my map for the entire city of where my story takes place. Now I can go ahead and I can add in like a location, we'll put something right here. So add location. This is the shop, right? So this is the place where Aurora works. And then over here, we can say that the club is like, I don't know, you know what, they got parking over here, so we'll add the club. And you can add in all these places, and you can make them as small or large as you want them to be. So if you don't want them to take up a lot of space, they don't have to. But this is just a nice little visual thing for you to have. So that way, if you need to, you can do whatever you want. Now, here's where your mind gets blown, because I can click on here, and then I can add in more stuff. I can add in, you know, the image of it, the resources I'm basing this off of. It's going to ask about the weather of the location. It's going to ask about, this isn't a city, so I won't have to get too crazy with that. But if you have a fantasy world, you can link in the cultures, the universe, you can just do so much. And again, you can add more freaking panels if there's not enough panels here for you. Like, this is such an amazing software. I can't get over it. Now, if for some reason I'm like, you know what, this place that, like, let's say that the club, is actually a lot, like, I have more to say about the club that I can't just express on one little thing like that. Well, what happens is when you come in here and you add it in like so, hold on, let me fix that. That's the shop. So, and then we can just move that right there. So I can make this, I can put it right here, and this is a linked map. This is the difference between the two. So right here it would be like, this is just the shop, it's not too big, but the club has multiple floors, right? It's got multiple floors, it's got some other stuff going on. So when I click on it, I can basically make a floor plan where I can add in all the other stuff that goes on there. So let me find a floor plan. Okay, so I went and found a random floor plan, but that's really freaking small for what I need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the image scale, and I'm going to change it to, let's try 20 and hope it doesn't blow up my screen. Ah, it blew up my screen. Okay, so a little too large. Set image. So 20 was too big. Let's try 5. Wow, it's still too big. Change image scale. Let's try 2. Okay, so what this is doing is multiplying the image resolution by the number that you type in there. Okay, I didn't know that before, so it's nice to know that. So we're going to make that 3 then, and then I should be okay. Perfect. So, and then I can just go ahead and add in the locations, like, you know, again, it's got like all the stuff in here, but I can change it. So, and for, let's see, let's say if I wanted this, the nav suite. You know, so if I wanted the nav suite to look a certain way, I can just open this up and I can type in the info about it, and then I can upload pictures about what the interior looks like and all that other stuff. And if you've got a castle with a garden or all that other stuff, you can just do almost the exact same thing. So again, you can do a lot of things with this. It's really detailed and it's really in depth. It just really depends on how in-depth, how much detail that you want to put into this, because you guys can literally just go absolutely crazy with this. You really can. So we have the encyclopedia, and the encyclopedia basically makes it possible for you to do a lot of different things, but I haven't used it yet enough. All I know is that it's basically used as general purpose, and it's not supposed to be centered on character, events, or location. And I wouldn't even center it on different races either, because if you get the world building pack, you actually build those species and those things in there. So not super sure. This might be something that I might use in terms of like vocabulary, or maybe something that I might put in the index. And that's actually really useful because in the encyclopedia, you also have the ability to export that as a PDF file as well. So I think this is going to be more like for terms and maybe some generic information that you would put in the back of the book versus, you know, basically the fundamental world building stuff. And with that said, let's go ahead and talk about these things. Yes. So we're leaving the contemporary for me to kind of dive into how this works and talking about some of the crazy stuff. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a group, and I'm going to rename this to humans, and I'm going to base this off of my Ghostwalker Chronicles. So we have humans, we have we have mythics, we have dragons, because those are a thing, dragons, and then we also have gods. So come on, rename gods. And then we also have, oh, before I forget them, because I probably shouldn't, we also have the cluster. So pretty much everything that I put in humans is going to be whatever that is. So let's say I just have your generic human, right? So that's going to be like so. And then I'm going to move him over straight into human. And then I'm going to add in another one, which is magi. who is still technically human, but not quite human, but they still fit enough to be considered that, and I'm going to move them in there as well. In fact, let me go ahead and fill out some more of this, that way I can talk about this in better detail. So I went ahead and I broke up a few of these into categories that would separate them. Now, I put Magi and as different from human because in my universe, Magi live longer than humans. So the average human lifespan right now is actually like 80 years right now. Check me on that, please feel free to. Average height is like, I think it's like 5'10" right now, if we had to even it out across the world. And I am doing inches, not meters, so I'm going to change that. And we're also going to change that to pounds because why not? And I want you guys to see how easy it was for me to change that. Average weight is like, we'll go with 180 if we have to even them all out. So now if you really want to, you can break this up into like human females and human males, or if you want to do that with any of your other races, you can. But you can also talk about a lot of different things like, their growth stage, what does it look like, childhood. And then you can also add in early adult, or actually teens, that's a better one, teen. And you can talk about what, childhood looks like for this particular race and what the teenage years are going to look like for this race. You can also talk about skills and abilities, whatever their weaknesses are, and then you can talk about how they reproduce, like not in graphic detail, you can just kind of say like they reproduce by doing XYZ. So, and then you can also talk about habitats, places that you can really find them at. So humans are found everywhere because we're good at living anywhere as long as we can control the environment. So there's that. And then if you have a race that has a particular origin or history, you can dive into that and you can explain it to the best of your ability. I'm not going to dive into human history right now because some of it's fiction. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the next thing, which has to do with cultures. Okay, so with the culture stuff, you can kind of, again, just like anything else, you can design and work this to be, the culture of your neighborhood versus like the culture of America. You can make it as vast or detailed as you want. Again, no wrong answers here. For the purposes of what I'm trying to show you, I just used it to represent like the culture of a pantheon. So I've got the Celtic and I've got the Norse, and again, I didn't really type in the short description here, but they're pretty much just, they're Vikings, right? That's what I need to put in there. But you can put in like the population, so how many people are there. There aren't any people, they're just gods. So there's 300 gods, and if I wanted to add in like another population, I could do that. I could add in more people. I can do in the values. Let's see, hold on. Values. Oh, okay, I have to come back to this later, but not right now. So you can do in common values. I put honor. You can do eating habits, sometimes, food with booze, personal hygiene. You can add in more things however you want to do. So if there's a certain thing that has to do with your culture that you want to add in there, you can add it for all of them. And then you can actually come over here, and whatever template you make for one, you can actually save that template and apply it to the rest of your cultures as well, which is really nice, and I really like that feature. Let's see, language. Okay, so true story, I have not messed with language too much because I am not a linguist. But if you really wanted to, you could just go to town on this thing. You've got special symbols. You can say what the sound is. You got phonics, grammar, you got all of that. If you are somebody who is set on making your own language, this thing is here for you. I just am not the person that's going to be able to go over that with you. After that, we've got religions. And religions can look pretty much like however you want them to be. You can do the practices, any texts that they may have, what divine beings they're linked to, if you've got sacred symbols, how they view the afterlife. And again, you can add more or take away from that depending on what you want to do. Sky's the limit on this. It's really nice. Let's see, I promise. Philosophies, that's pretty much the same thing. Systems is a little different because systems has to do with how do I explain this? Systems is a little different, and I honestly have not played with this, so I can't give you an accurate description of what this is supposed to look like. I think somebody else dived in there and they were able to make it work, but this is not my jam, so it doesn't work for me. What I really like, though, is the magic system stuff that you can go in there. So if you have a magic system in there, you can dive in there and you can just do all the things to help you with your magic system. And you can also add in like the people who use it. So like, let's say for example, like these three people were able to cast magic, well, I could just go ahead and say that they cast magic, and then that way I know in my book series, like, these are the people who are able to cast that. It also talks about the various ways of channeling, limitations. I already had a long talk with you guys about magic systems and how to make them, but this is a really good resource to do that. I got guidebook, man. You got history. If your magic system has a really long history about where it came from and all that stuff, it's just so cool. I really like how detailed this is. Last thing I guess I'll go ahead and talk about are going to be items. So if you've got like a special item in here for whatever reason, you can talk about what it looks like, its attributes, its value. This is going to be really useful if you've got like some kind of magical item that you might need for your story. Yeah, it doesn't really work well with my contemporary works, but you know, for example, I think there's a couple of like cursed books and Ghostwalker Chronicles that I would probably have to put in here and track because, you know, cursed books are cursed books and I should probably know where they are. Now, that's pretty much everything I've talked about so far. One thing I do want to point out is pretty much everything that's in this world builder pack, that's not part of the basic that you get with Campfire Pro, but if you are really diving into the sci-fi and the magic and all that stuff, I would highly recommend that you get it. It costs a little bit more, but I swear, like, this is absolutely amazing. I spent 16 hours fleshing out everything, and I swear my writing is actually stronger for it because it makes it just so much easier for me to track everything and where it is and what's going on, and I just love it. Now, I did mention before that this is really good for making a series, and if you're the kind of person that would like to make one of these but only for one book, you do have the ability to actually come out and export like your characters and your relationships. You can export all that stuff out, and then you can upload it into a new Campfire file that you're using. I have not tried that yet, but I do see that that is a feature and that it is worth using. So what else do I want to talk about? I mean, this is like I think I've geeked out a lot on this software. I like, if you have money to spend and you need a world building software, I would highly recommend this. I know you can kind of do some of this stuff with other programs like Wavemaker and Scrivener, and maybe even dabble to a little bit of an extent, but it's not as integrated and detailed as Campfire is, and I absolutely love it. Like after I got done with those 16 hours of playing with it, I knew I had to buy it because it was just that good. It's I don't think I could really recommend or give a more glowing review than what I am giving right now. However, because I feel like it's only the right thing to say, is that if you know of a program that is also good for world building and you think that is something worth for people to check out, please feel free to leave a comment down below, because like I said, I paid for this. Not everybody, especially when you are starting off as a writer, have the ability to afford nice things like this, so sometimes it's good to work with the free stuff and then maybe move into the stuff that you can pay for. So if you've got something that you think that will work for that, feel free to go ahead and link it below. I am going to, at the end of this video, have a link to a free resource that I did, kind of a showcase on how to do a series Bible with, which involved using Google Slides or Google Sites, and again, that one's free, so you can check that out. But again, I know I have some followers here who are really well versed and educated in ways to basically make things work, so please, again, feel free to leave that down below. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for being patient. Really sorry about the junk video. I can't fix a corrupted file, unfortunately, but that's going to be my video for today. Thank you so much for coming over and hanging out and hear what I have to say about Campfire, and I will talk to you all again real soon.